Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you for spending your special day with us on this very special performance. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge all the mothers here today. Welcome. I'm honoring my mother today by wearing her favorite colors, gold and diamonds. And speaking of precious gems, I see so many familiar faces in the audience. Happy Mother's Day, Marina. And right here in the front is one of our leadership circle sponsors, the generous, talented, and beautiful Belinda Dumont. So not only is it Mother's Day, it's spring, and welcome to our spring concert series entitled Scheherazade. It will be an afternoon guaranteed to delight. My name is Gaetano Jacobs, and I'm not only going to be your MC tonight, I'm going to be your Scheherazade, your storyteller, and boy, do I have a story to tell. The group you're about to hear is an all-volunteer orchestra, but please don't mistake that for anything less than excellence. The orchestra is comprised of dedicated musicians who balance their day jobs with night rehearsals. They bring the same discipline, passion, and precision as any other ensemble. Here, volunteer does not mean amateur. It means they play for the love of the music, and that love drives them to perform at the highest level. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the talented and dedicated musicians of the Tampa Bay Symphony. So, as your Scheherazade tonight, please indulge me while I tell you a story. I promise it'll be short. But some history about the orchestra and its mission will help bring tonight's performance into focus. 1975 was the birth year of the St. Petersburg Community Symphony. About 10 years later, they changed the name to the Tampa Bay Community Symphony because the orchestra was no longer just playing in St. Petersburg. But sadly, in the 85-86 series, the founders didn't feel as though they were getting enough community support, and they closed down the orchestra and the not-for-profit. Well, the musicians were not ready to give up. That summer, they reorganized under the new name, the Tampa Bay Symphony, and that was 40 years ago. They asked the chairman of the music department of the University of South Florida to be their artistic director and conductor, and that was a position he held for 25 years. His name was Dr. Jack Heller. Now, how does that relate to what you're going to hear tonight? Well, over 30 years ago, the Tampa Bay Symphony has sponsored the Jack Heller Young Artist Competition, which has been an integral component to the orchestra's mission to encourage and educate the youth throughout Florida. And tonight, we have the 38th annual Jack Heller Young Artist Competition Scholarship winner. His name is Addonizio. He's 22, and he will be performing the first movement of Carl Nielsen's Concerto for Clarinet. Mission accomplished. But the orchestra wasn't done giving back to the community. So in 2016, a national competition of composers was implemented by the organization. Scores and recordings were submitted, the 3 finalists were selected, and the orchestra picked the winner. 1 year later, that competition became international. They had over 90 entries from 16 different countries. But tonight, this year, the 8th annual composition competition was held here at the Palladium on April 6th. And the criteria for those submissions is that they needed to be based on Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade. But there wasn't a winner. There were 2 winners. They have co-winners this year. The first is a winning piece, and the winning piece is traditionally performed at the spring concert. The first of the 2 winners was written by Matthew Mason, entitled The Fantastic Adventures of the Calendar Prince, which you will hear at the spring concert in 2026. But tonight, you will hear a piece written by Inbal Cohen-Rasner. Incidentally, she received her formal training in Haifa, Israel. Not only is she an established composer, an accomplished pianist, she's also a board-certified radiologist. right brain, left brain, right? And you'll get to experience her work tonight entitled A Tale of Scheherazade, A Journey of Love. I want to take a moment now to thank all of our sponsors. You'll find a list of the corporate sponsors in your program along with our business sponsors. Please take a note of who they are and consider visiting and supporting these small businesses in the area that support us. I'd also like to thank our individual sponsors, and they're listed in the program as well. A special thank you to another storyteller, Ruth Kern, one of our cellists, who for writing the insightful program notes. If you want to be a sponsor, you can do that in a couple of ways. You can visit TampaBaySymphony.org, or you can make a donation by scanning the QR code in your program. We would really appreciate that. And thank you again for being here and for showing us your support simply by showing up today. So without further ado, I am honored to present to you the Tampa Bay Symphony under the artistic direction of Maestro Mark Sforzini.
Thank you for joining us today. It's so wonderful to see such a nice crowd here on a rainy afternoon that you made it here. And I want to give a very heartfelt welcome to all the mothers in the audience today. Can we have a round of applause for all of our mothers? So we're going to get things started with our 8th Annual International Call for Scores Competition co-winner, the Tale of Scheherazade. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the competition criteria. For this competition, the composers were asked to compose a piece in the style of a theme and variations. So that would be like Elgar's Enigma variations, or Rhapsody on a Theme of Paganini by Rachmaninoff, which is a theme and variations. So you have to have a theme come from somewhere. And the gimmick was I wanted the composers to choose a theme from Scheherazade, because then that tied these pieces somehow to Scheherazade, which you're going to see on the second half, so that it all kind of ties together into a plan for the afternoon. So Inbal Cohen-Rasner chose the beautiful love theme from the third movement of Scheherazade. So we're going to demonstrate that now so you know what the source material theme was. So this is the theme upon which her piece is based, and we're going to do an excerpt from her piece so you can hear how she uses that theme and then already starts to develop that theme into a variation. Let's do violins and violas. Pickups to C. Let's do that spot, pickups to C. So you hear the theme from Scheherazade, and then you start to hear it evolve into something else. Now, Inbal's piece is through composed. So what does that mean? So sometimes theme and variations, you actually come to a stop in the music, and then you hear variation 1, and you come to a stop, and you hear variation 2. That's how it is with most of the Elgar Enigma variations. But it's also possible to do a theme and variations where the music is through composed. So it's a series of episodes that are varied, and she just seamlessly goes from one episode to the next. So I want to invite our composer, because she's with us today, I want to invite her to the stage to say a few words about our piece. Inbal Cohen-Rasner coming to the stage. I see Olympic figure skaters skating to this music she's written. When you listen to the Tale Shahrazad, I want to see if you can imagine that too. Anyway, here's Inbal.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. I'm so excited to be here to attend the performance and hear our music coming to life. First of all, thank you so much, Tampa Bay Symphony and Maestro, Mark Sforzini, for all the effort and time you put for the piece. It sounds beautiful, and it means a lot to me. Composing the piece, The Tale of Scheherazade, was a very special, emotional experience for me as a composer. I really tried to capture all the emotions and the beauty and the depth of the love story. It's a love story between the prince and princess. Through the music, I wanted to illustrate the different stages of the love bond, from the innocent to the more mature, romantic, passionate love. And it all came from the heart. I hope you all enjoy the performance today. I know I will, as much as I enjoy creating it. Thank you very much, and happy Mother's Day.
Always so exciting to hear a world premiere, isn't it? And yes. Right here in little old St. Petersburg. And couldn't you just see Michelle Kwan gliding across the ice? Yeah. So we're going to turn now to our other competition of note, our Young Artist competition. And our winner this year won with a piece called the Nielsen Clarinet Concerto. I want to tell you a little bit about this piece because it has an interesting story behind it. I think it might help, it might enhance the way you listen to the piece. So this was composed for the Danish clarinetist, specifically for this man, Aue Oxenbad. Anyone want to say that with me? Aue Oxenbad? Yes, very good, very good. This is a clarinetist. He preferred to live in a small house in the country rather than the urban center he worked in. He felt like there he could chat with the local farmers and keep his own garden. And he described the clarinet. Well, I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to put a disclaimer here. His description of the clarinet does not necessarily reflect the views of the Tampa Bay Symphony. Because this is a quote. So this is a quote. He described the clarinet as, quote, a living being that must be treated like a woman. But wait, there's more. With a gentle yet firm hand, also unpredictable like a woman, the clarinet is somber and expressive and also possesses passion at times. So this was his quote about the clarinet and women. He wrote the piece during a difficult period in his life. He was having a lot of health issues. He was 63. He felt like his music had not achieved maybe the recognition he felt like it deserved, and he was disturbed by events in the world all at the same time. So perhaps that explains why you sometimes hear like there's a struggle going on in the music. And every time the hostilities seem to be settling down, the snare drum returns to incite the combatants to renewed conflict. Highly unusual to have a snare drum scored into this clarinet concerto. Another explanation for the struggles you hear in the piece and the wild mood changes is that the clarinetist, Aue Oxenbad, for whom the concerto is written, was also diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. So therefore, many people have said the concerto was poking fun at his mood swings. So we're gonna have a couple of quick demos. The piece starts with a theme that's based on a motif. Remember the motif from The Winter and the Grieg and Sibelius? There's a three-note motif. Let's listen to the theme. It's first played by the cellos and basses. This little three-note motif, la-dum-dum, that's the three-note motif, and then you get a variation, la-dum-dum, and then an embellished version, lum-pa-pa-pum, from higher than, la-dum-dum. So it's a theme based on a three-note motif, just like Beethoven wrote motivic music. This is sort of the calm part. I think this is him in his garden. All right, because it does get stormier. What does it sound like when the snare drum incites everybody? Let's go to 7 before rehearsal 4, and let's do a little snare drum demo here if we could. And do you feel incited to something? That is our principal timpani player, Mike Davis, on the snare drum. Thank you, Mike. And one little example of a mood swing, which happens a lot in this concerto. We'll play a little example. You hear a couple of measures that sound calm, and then a couple of measures that sound a little wild and crazy. Let's do 7 before B, orchestra. 7 before B. 1, 2. So that's a mood swing. Okay. All right, so I think you know a lot about this piece now to think about while you're listening. It's been a pleasure to work with our young artist concerto competition winner. He's going to Northwestern in the fall to get his master's degree. He just graduated USF. Please welcome Dylan Addonizio to the stage.